Hi Flosstube, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel, Loves Rubber Stamps and Needlecrafts. Today is New Year's Eve of 2021 and I am here for my end of the year WIP parade to wrap the year up. So I apologize for my voice. I am just getting over some crud. I did have a COVID test, which was negative. But I'm still kind of coughing and a little hoarse. So if I have a coughing fit, I will edit it out for you. For today's video, I thought I would share my 2022 plans, and then we will do my WIP parade, and then if you stay tuned till the very end, I have a surprise for you. So we'll go ahead and get started. I thought I would first talk about what my stitching plans will be for 2022. There are some challenges that I plan on participating in. The first of which is a Facebook group called No New Starts 2022. And the reason why I'm joining this is I can't not start things. If I tell myself I can't start something, then I'm going to want to start everything. So I have a lot of WIPs that have been hanging around just because they're larger pieces and it takes a while to get them finished. So I wanted to try to really focus this next year on trying to get some really good progress on these older WIPs and maybe try to get several finished if possible. So No New Starts actually had 3 different categories that you could sign up for. One was the traditional, where you just work on your what you have started and you don't get to start anything no matter what. The second track you could pick was called 22 in 2022, and that's where you picked 22 projects to focus on. And then if you finished one of those, you could either have a new start or replace it with one of your other WIPs. But you would only work on the 22 things from your list. I thought about that one, but again, if I try to limit myself to only picking 22, there'll inevitably be something from my other WIP pile that I really want to work on, and I didn't want to be constrained that way either. The third option they had was what was called Work Your WIPs. That's where you put your full WIP list in the album, and you could work on any of your WIPs to get them finished. You were allowed 1 new start to use at your discretion anytime throughout the year. So that would allow me to have a new start if I wished. You would also, when you finish one of your WIPs, you could have a new start from that same size category. So that's the one I picked. I did the Work Your WIPs. So I'm going to try it. It does allow me to have some new starts, but I have to earn them by finishing the things I have. So it'll be fun, and we'll see if I'm able to stick to it. I really hope so, because I think it will be fun. So, and plus it'll help me try to get some of these older WIPs finished that just take a while. So that is my first plan, to do No New Starts, the Work Your WIPs track. To go along with that, I'm going to also participate in WIP Go next year, and here's my WIP Go board. And for WIP Go, what I did is I have currently 36 WIPs total. And this week I had to start 3 within the last week and a half or so, because I really wanted to make sure I had them started to be able to work on them from the year. So what I did with my WIP Go is, in my WIPs, WIP Go has a spot for all of my non-full coverage WIPs. So these are all my WIPs that are not full coverage. And what I did is I planned to work on, when the numbers called, I planned to work on the 2 called WIPs for a minimum of 10 days, 10 working days. And what I'm hoping is that, I know it won't happen with all of them, but I'm really hoping that I might be able to get really close to finishes, if not finish these non-full coverage pieces the months that they're called. So that is my goal. She already drew the numbers for January, so I know which projects I need to pull out for January, and when we get to them in the WIP parade, I will share what those 2 are. So that is my second plan for 2022. And then my third plan is that I do plan to participate in some of the full coverage fanatics challenges on Facebook. It's another Facebook group to try to get progress on my full coverage pieces. So they have a couple of different fun challenges I thought I would try out. So they have one that is, you pick one of your full coverage WIPs and you try to stitch 22,000 stitches in 2022. And originally that sounded like a lot, which it is a lot, but if you actually break it down, you only have to stitch about 61 stitches a night, like every day, 61 stitches a day on your project. And at the end of the year, you would have stitched a little over 22,000 stitches. So the project that I'm gonna, as we go through them, I will share which project I picked for that one. I'm also gonna do their Bike Around Germany challenge, where you choose one of your full coverage WIPs, or you could use multiple. But they have a chart that lists different towns, and they have, you can either stitch the time it would take for you to drive it, or, so for example, the first one is from Zeetel to Wilhelmshaven. It would take you an hour to drive there. So you can stitch on your project for 1 hour, or they also have a stitch count. So 1 hour or 120 stitches, and you get to complete that leg. So as you bike around Germany on your project, if you use the same project and complete this at the end of the year, you will have stitched 34,260 stitches. So I picked a project for that, which I'll share when we go through. And then they have a couple other challenges. They have a Whips and Wonders, where you have to stitch 5,000 stitches on a WIP to mark off a wonder, like the World Wonders. There's several of those. I thought I would try to do a few. The other one they have is an eras event, monthly era. So they pick an era, and the first one is prehistoric. And I'm gonna do this one. It's a non-counting challenge. You just post your beginning and ending spot. And I chose my oldest project for that one, just to see how far I get. So I'm gonna kind of, so that's really the challenges I wanna work on in next year to try to help me knock some of these WIPs out. So because I am wanting to really try to participate in these challenges, and because I am on a new shift now at work, I'm gonna have to change up my rotation. So what I plan on doing is at my work, since I work day shift now, there's a lot more interruptions, so it's really hard for me to work on my heaven and earth designs at work now. In the middle of the night, I could stitch all night without getting interrupted. So what I'm going to do is the days that I work, I'm going to take my non-full coverage pieces and work on those. So those are going to be my WIP Go pieces. My WIP Go, the ones that are called for WIP Go will now go to work with me, and I'll work on them at work in my downtime. At night, the nights that I work, I'm going to do at least 60 to 100 stitches on the project I picked for my 22,022 project. And then after I do that, then I'm going to switch over to one of my other full coverage pieces and then work on that the rest of the night on the nights that I work. And then on my days off, I'm going to focus on the Bike Around Germany piece that I chose. And that's how I think I'll try my rotation. So I'm hoping that also for new starts, earning new starts, I thought if I finish both of my WIP Go projects in the month, as a bonus, I could start something new from one of those categories, and try to, you know, and if I don't feel like starting anything, then I'll just save it for when I do. So roughly that is going to be how I'm going to try to work my plans for 2022. So some of that will make more sense as we kind of go through my WIPs, and I'll point out the projects that I chose for a few of those different challenges. So now we'll go ahead and go through my WIPs, and I do have them organized by year that I started them. So we'll start with my oldest, and then we'll work towards my newest. So, and I'll also share with you kind of the size category that these are in for the no new starts, because you had to categorize the sizes. So my very oldest WIP is my New Girl 3-piece. This is a Heaven Earth design by Winnel. And I started this when I didn't stitch for about 8 years because I used to stitch a lot when I was helping take care of my grandpa when he was had lung cancer, and so I used to stitch a lot then, and then after he passed away, I just couldn't bring myself to stitch for several years. So I didn't stitch for 8 years after Grandpa passed away because it just reminded me of being with him, and it was too difficult. So when I came back to stitching, in 2015 in September, and this was my first project that I picked when I came back to it. So I started this September 28th of 2015, and this is my oldest WIP. And I'm stitching this one. I don't know where I'm going to set everything. Oops. All right, so I'm stitching this one on a 28 count white Lugana, and I'm stitching at 1/1 full crosses, and this is where I'm at. So I have 6 full pages completed, and I wrote down my stats from Pattern Keeper of where I'm starting at from the year, so it'll be interesting to compare how many stitches I get done on this through the year. So right now I have stitched 32,440 stitches on this, and I'm at 11.77% finished. So this project is the one that I chose for that Whips and Wonders, the prehistoric WIP. And so this will be my full coverage piece that I stitch on in the evenings after I do my 100 stitches on my 22,000 and 2022 piece. So that's my starting spot. And I will show you my back. Everybody likes to see the backs of full coverage. It's not horrible, but it's not the neatest I've seen either. I try not to carry too far on my projects. My next project is my dog double shelf. So now these are going to be the projects I have left from 2016. So the first one is Dog Double Shelf, which is by Randall Spangler, and it's a Heaven and Earth design. This is the one that I'm stitching for my mom. It's kind of glaring a little bit. And this is the one that I chose to be my 22,000 in 2022 piece. So I'll try to put in 60 to 100 stitches on this every night before I switch to my other piece. So hopefully at the end of this year, I'll have added 22,000 more stitches at least. So this is where I'm at currently. I think I have three full pages finished, or very close to 3 full pages, almost 4. I'm stitching this on 28 count white Lugana, and it's 1/1 full crosses. This one I have stitched 22,062 stitches. So if I do complete the challenge, I'll basically double my stitch count. And I'm only 7.03% complete. So that's that one. When I do the yearly groupings, they're not in order from oldest to newest. They're just from that year. So my next piece from 2016 that I have left is the Lakeside Needlecrafts Fantasy Stitch Along, and it was a Durene Jones design. And I don't have a cover sheet. Oh, and I did forget to mention, if I worked on my project within this last year, because there's some that I didn't touch at all, if I worked on the project, I will insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year, and then I will at the very beginning. So I didn't get to work on my New Girl 3 piece, which I was really surprised I didn't work on it at all over this last year, which is kind of sad, really. So I did work on Dog Double Shelf though. So I will go ahead and insert where I was at the beginning of last year for my Dog Double Shelf project here. Now we can go to the Durene Jones Fantasy Cell from Lakeside Needlecrafts. This is one that I have not worked on this year, but I don't have a cover photo for this one printed out, so I'll have to insert a picture of what it will look like finished here. So that's kind of true to color there. This is a it's a 32 count Opal Fairy Dance fabric from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And I've got all of the border on page 1 completed. And I've stitched 3 little characters. So I don't know if you can see. It's an opal. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to customize each little character as I do it a little bit. So this witch, I switched, it had pumpkins all along here, and I switched this to a cauldron that was also by Durene Jones from another magazine. And then I did turkey work for her hair and added some buttons, a cat and a spider. For this one, the Pegasus, I used the satin DMC floss for the rainbow, and I added some whisper thread and kryneck and beads and fluffy stuff for the tail. And then the wizard, I did silks for his robe, whisper for his beard, and added some variegated Moselle floss for the leaves. So that's where I'm at on that one. Okay, my next piece from 2016 is Eat My Dust. It's a Candamar collection, gold collection kit. And this one, stuck on my leg. I have it on a scroll bar. I tried to undo it a little bit so you could see how far I got on the face. So here's where I'm at. I'm just stitching this on the 16 count ivory Ada that came in the kit. And this is another one that I haven't worked on this year. But, so what I did is I had started in the middle of my fabric because I wasn't sure how big the borders were. And then I just worked my way up and then over to the left. So then I can work my way down. My next piece from 2016 is another Heaven and Earth design. It's my Heaven's Little Angel by Katerina Koukiotis. I know I don't say that right, probably. This one I haven't worked on at all this year either. And here's where I'm at. So I have the first full page finished and started a couple other pages. This one I'm stitching on 25 count white Lugana, 2/1, I think. Yeah, 2/1, and it's a little too thick for me. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's very bulky. It's pretty thick. And the only reason I'm going to continue is on this one this way is because I don't want to start over. And there's not very many color changes. There's a lot of blocks of stitching. So it's doable. This one has a lot of Kreinik. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, the sparkle. But I had started this one when our niece was diagnosed with cancer. She was 8 years old when she was diagnosed, and when she they first found the cancer, it was pretty extensive throughout her body, and they really weren't sure if she was going to survive. So I had started this just in case something happened, and for my sister-in-law, and glad to say, which is why I haven't really been working on it, is she is doing good now. She's been cancer-free. She just had she has to have scans every so often. But she is currently cancer-free still, and she just turned 13. So, yeah, that's awesome. So I think the picture is really pretty, so I'll still continue it and, you know, do it for myself. But kind of the reason I was stitching this miraculously and thankfully changed. So it's not as high of a priority at this time. All right, my next one is my November quilt by Paula Vaughan. It's in the Quilts for All Seasons book. And maybe I just got fur in my nose. My page fell out, but this is what it will look like finished. And as many others before, this is another one I didn't work on all year long. And here's where I'm at currently. So I'm stitching this one on the recommended fabric, which is a 32 count cream Belfast linen. This one is full of fractionals, especially in the quilt. Like all these the frame of the quilt blocks are all like quarter stitches, fractionals. The blocks themselves are full of fractionals. So once I get this quilt finished, the rest of the piece should go pretty quickly, but the quilt is a lot of work. There's still a lot of back stitch that needs to be done, but it'll be pretty when it's finished. My next piece is my Seasons in Chalk Art Winter, and this is by Priscilla, Blain, and Hands On Design, and this was in the Just Cross Stitch issue, February of 2016. And this one I have worked on this year, so I will insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of last year here. And then this is where I've gotten to. So this is being stitched on 32 count slate and hand dyed fabrics by Stephanie, which is the recommended fabric. And this is one of my January WIP Go pieces that I need to work on. So hopefully I'll get a lot of progress on this and maybe even finish it. We'll see. All right. My next piece and my last piece that I have still from 2016 was The Fortunate Traveler by Teresa Wentzler. And this is another one I haven't worked on this entire year. I don't have a picture of what this one looks like printed out, so I'll have to insert a picture of what it'll look like finished here. And here's where I'm at on this one. So I have this on scroll rod, and this fabric is kind of flimsy. Let me put something behind it. So this fabric is a 28 count cream cashel linen, which is the called for linen. And I have just a little bit done at the bottom of that box. It's not even really worth pulling up. So I'm really just working on the border. I think I have the last green put in. So now I just need to start coming down and working on some more of that border. Okay, and that's all of my 2016 WIPs. There were three out of those 7 that were Stitch Mania starts for that year. It was the very first year I participated in Stitch Mania. And the 3 left from that Stitch Mania session is the Eat My Dust, the Chalk Art Winter piece, and the Fortunate Traveler. So now we'll move on to the WIPs I have left from 2017, and I have 4 that I still need to finish from 2017. So my first one is A Heaven and Earth. This is Dreamer by Nadia Strelkina, and this one is the Max Colors version. And I'm stitching this one on a 28 count white Lugana. And it's 1/1 also. Oh, I moved my needle. And this one I have worked on since this year, so I'll insert a picture here of where I was at the beginning of last year, or the beginning of this year. And here's where I'm at currently. So I I've worked in all of those parked threads. I've decided that parking really isn't for me now that I have Pattern Keeper. It was a necessity on this one originally because there's so many color changes in this tree that it was really hard to keep track. So now that I have Pattern Keeper, I can see where all those confetti stitches are. So I worked in all the parked threads, and then have just been kind of working, picking a color in the page and then going where that color takes me. And for this one, I have currently stitched 8,518 stitches, which is 2.20%. So that's what I'll be starting out from this year. And I forgot to share on Heaven's Little Angel. Or no. Yeah. So Heaven's Little Angel, I've stitched 8,053 stitches, but it's a smaller piece. So that puts me at 6.54% finished on that one. So I really love working on this piece. It's going to be beautiful when it's finished. The next one from 2017 is from my Cross Stitch Safari book by Jane Netley Mayhew. Actually, I have two projects from this one. The first one that I started in 2017 were my elephants, which are called Giants of the Plains. Leave that out because I need it again. And this is one that I haven't worked on this year. So here is where I'm at. And this is being stitched on a 28 count, it feels like a Monaco fabric from Stony Creek, and it's called Summer Clouds. And my next one is King Coda Storyteller by Amy Stewart. I'll show you this one. And King Coda is the one that I chose for my Bike Around Germany piece. So on my days off, I will work on King Coda and try to bike around Germany as I trot along. I have worked on this one since last year. I will attempt to add a photo of where I was at the beginning of this year, because this is a big piece on my floor stand here. I don't know if I have a picture of a full picture. I took a video last year and then placed it in there, but since it moves, I couldn't take a picture. This one I'm stitching it on 28 count white Lugana. And I've actually considered taking it off my Mark II floor stand and trying to put it on a Q-snap, maybe, because honestly, I feel like I don't work on it as much as I could if I was able to take it upstairs, because my craft room is here in the basement of our house, and the floor stand, it just takes up too much room to have in our living room, you know, because it'd stay in there all the time. So I feel like if I had my project on a Q-snap that it was more portable, I think I would work on it a lot more than I do. And I really want to keep making good progress on this one because it's giant and it will take me the rest of my life. And there's other supersized ones I want to work on too, or start. So I've been debating on taking it off and trying a Q-snap. So if any of you have stitched the supersized Heaven and Earths on a Q-snap, leave me a comment and let me know how you like that. And if you do, like, what size Q-snap do you use? Because I want it to not be so heavy that your arms get tired trying to hold it. So just leave me a comment and let me know how, if you're working on a very large piece like that, what do you use? Do you just use a hoop, Q-snap, and just give me some ideas? I would appreciate it. So if you got to see where I was at the beginning of last year, I will now insert where I am at currently. And I believe I have 5 full pages finished, and Flosstube itchy nose. 5 full pages finished, and I think I'm in the 6th page. I currently have 28,697 stitches completed, and I'm at 4.19%. So I have a long ways to go. My last WIP from 2017 is one that I have worked on this year. It's my Red Birds by Marie Barber, and it is from the Just Cross Stitch magazine, November, December of 2011. And this is what it will look like finished. I'm stitching this in honor of my grandma and grandpa who passed away. My grandpa was the one that I took care of, helped take care of when he had lung cancer, that I talked about when I was stitching before. So I will insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year here. And here is where I'm at currently. So I'm getting close to having this one finished. Really all that I have left is just the big flower and some more of these berry things on this side. So Grandpa Cardinal is finished, Grandma Cardinal, the whole middle and almost the whole middle, and the grandma side is done. So this piece is gorgeous. It's really fun to stitch on. I love that there's no back stitch, and it's amazing. This is being stitched on a 28 count lamb's wool Jobelan. And I plan on, when I get it finished, maybe having it framed by Jill Rensel. I think that would be neat. All right, and I do remember 2017, I did not participate in Stitch Mania that year. I'd wanted to and then never had time to do it. So now we're moving on to my 2018 WIPs that I have left. I have 5 from 2018, and I actually worked on all 5 of these this year. So the first one is my Believe Snowman by Stony Creek, and this is what it will look like finished. And it's in the August 2007 issue of Stony Creek magazine. And I'll insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year here. And here's where I'm at now. So not a huge difference, but basically I've almost got this first outside border finished. And then I got to start on the inner border, and then we'll start getting to some fun stuff. So I'm stitching this one on a 28 count white opal Lugana. Sorry, my computer's making noise. Great. My next one is called Fresh Eggs Farm, and this is by Hands On Design and Priscilla Blain, and I've started on the big one. And I started this for a Stitch Mania that year. And I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time you saw it here. And here's where I'm at now. So not very much further. I just kind of worked on this fence a little bit. And honestly, the reason why I stitched on it a little bit is because to count for your work your WIPs, your projects have to have at least 200 stitches. And I think I was a little bit shy of 200. So I worked some more on this fence just to make it eligible. So this one I'm stitching on a 32 count Belfast linen that I hand dyed to try to look like a chalkboard. All right, my next one, I have worked on this year also, like I mentioned. This is my Herbal Grimoire by Samplers and Stories. And I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time here. And here's where I'm at on this one currently. Sorry for the hoot marks, but so this one is being stitched on a 40 count Mummy Wraps by Ship's Manor, and I love this fabric. It's probably one of my favorite fabrics for like a vintage Halloween or those vintage samplers. I think it's really pretty. All right, that was also a Stitch Mania start from that year. My next one is Into the Jungle by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and it was a stitch along for that year. And I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time here. And here's where I'm at now. So basically I did the next one, another block. So I got the frog and the sloth done. And this fabric is a 28 count limited edition Lugana. I think it's a Lugana. And it was from July 2016, the fabric of the month from Crafty Kitten. And that's pretty true to color there. It's really pretty. And Crafty Kitten Fabrics has, I mean, her fabrics were gorgeous. But I was reading online that she seems to have disappeared off social media, and I don't know if her store is still there. But I think some people were having problems getting their orders, and then she just disappeared. So I hope everything's okay with her, and I hope that she comes back to fabric dyeing sometime, because her fabrics are gorgeous. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but my next piece from 2018 is I don't have a color printout. It is my stocking that I'm stitching for my daughter. It's called Shih Tzu for Christmas stocking by Donna Gelsinger from Heaven and Earth Designs. So I'll put a picture of what it should look like finished here. And this one I have worked on this year, so I will put a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year here. And I haven't worked a whole lot, but here's where I'm at now. So this one I'm stitching on a 20 count white Aida, and I am currently, sorry, my computer is doing stupid things. I'm currently at 1,089 stitches, and it's 1.59% finished. So my goal is to, I really want to get my daughter and my son's stockings finished first, and then once I get theirs done, then do one for my husband and myself. And then after I get those two done, then consider trying to do other stockings for the rest of my family. So those were all of my 2018 WIPs. So now we're into 2019, and I only have 2 left from 2019. So my first one is Spring ABCs by Little House Needleworks. And I have worked on this one since the beginning of the year, so I'll put where I was at the beginning of the year here. And here's where I'm at now. So basically just did some more letters and words. And I've changed it just a little bit. I've just added some pink to it. I'm not changing a whole lot. This is being stitched on 28 count Monaco fabric that I coffee tea dyed using Priscilla and Chelsea's tutorial that they posted a video on how to do it. I know that Vaughan the Twisted Stitcher also dyes her fabric that way, and she had a tutorial on her blog several years ago too about, she called it baking and basting her fabrics. All right, and then the other one that I have left from 2019 is from Stitch Mania, and it is my Raven Queen piece, and this is one I haven't worked on this year. This is by Mirabilia, and this one is on a 32 count. It's Carpe Noctem linen by Sunny Dyes Fabric, and that's all the farther I am. But I think this fabric is really cool, and I wanted to start with that tower to center it here in the moon. So I'm gonna get the hiccups. I really want to get back to that one. It's not a giant piece. For a Mirabilia, I think there's several that are bigger, but I'm curious to see what it will look like on that fabric, so I can't wait to get back to that. Now we're moving on to my 2020 WIPs, and before we get started, I need to kind of adjust for a second, so I'll be right back. One is my March Cottage from Country Cottage Needleworks. And this is one that I have not worked on this year, and I started it for Stitch Mania of that year. I have a lot of Stitch Mania pieces left from this one. Here's where I'm at currently. And this is on a 28 count lamb's wool linen. So I do have January and February stitched already. I'm just kind of stitching them in order. All right, my next piece I have is my Dark Queen of the Sea set, which is a stitch along by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I have worked on this one since the beginning of the year, so I'll first insert a picture of what she looks like completed. There's different versions because there was some pick your own adventure type sections. So this might not be what mine will look like finished, but this is the overall way that she was designed to look. And here's where I'm currently at on mine. So she is being stitched on a 32 count opal Belfast called Into the Mystic by Color Cascade Fabrics. And that's all the farther I've got. So I think this is, I'm working in the coral here. And as soon as this coral and stuff section is finished and the leaves, I think that's 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it'll be 4 months worth. So I still have a long ways to go. She's a very big girl. But I love how her hair turned out. It took me a long time to figure out how I wanted to do her hair. But I wanted it to be kind of like seaweed. And there was a lady in the Facebook group that she inspired, her hair was very similar to this, that I was able to use also. So can't wait to get back to her. She's fun to stitch on, but she's a big girl and it will take a while. All right. My next one is by Plum Street Samplers, and it's called Harvest Keeper. And I've worked on this one since she's seen it last time, so I'll insert a picture of where she was at the beginning of the year here. And here's where I'm at now. So just more on the border, pretty much. This is being stitched on a 40 count sampler gold by Color and Cotton Fabrics. And I'm using the called for floss. So that's kind of more accurate color back here. Kind of washes out when you get close. Then my next one is In the Berry Patch by All Through the Night. And this one is almost finished. Here's where I'm at. And this one is being stitched on a 36 count Vintage Country Mocha linen. And all I have left to do is finish this leaf. I have to do the centers of the flowers, and I have to add a couple stitches to his foot, the bird's foot. I forgot 1 or 2. And I have to add the little seeds for the strawberries. So almost done there. And I did work on this one, and I forgot to show you, but I will insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year here. The next one is my Jesus by Vervaco piece. I started this one in April of 2020 when the pandemic started, or it started to become, you know, pretty serious. I thought it was appropriate. It was a gift from my mom, and I have worked on this one this year, so I'll insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year here. Here's where I'm at now. So I just worked more on his face. This one I'm stitching it on the Ada that came in the kit. It's a 14 count. And it's probably like an ivory Ada, I'm assuming. I don't think it said the color. The next one is from Stitch Mania of 2020, and it's my Little House Needleworks Milady Strawberries. I haven't worked on this one since Stitch Mania of that year. And here is where I'm at. Not very far. This is being stitched on 36 count Ren by Pictures Plus. And I wasn't sure if I was going to have to stitch on this to make it, because I wasn't sure how many stitches I had done. So I counted them, and then there's 213 stitches. So I was able to, you know, have it for work my WIPs or work your WIPs, because you have to have 200. And there was 213, so I just squeaked by. All right, my next one, I have two from this magazine. The first one is this bear on the front with the lantern. It's called A Cozy Winter's Glow. And this one I have worked on, so I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time here. And here's where I'm at currently. So this one is being stitched on a 16 count white Aida, and I'm using anchor floss for this one. And the other one that I'm stitching from this book is The 12 Days of Christmas by Joan Elliott. And I haven't worked on this one this year so far. So here is where I'm at. So just started on some borders. This one is being stitched on a 28 count white Opal Lugana. And all this gold that I have done, I'm going to rip out and do it with Petite Treasure Braid, because I tried to use something from my stash. It was like Nordic gold or something. I don't even remember. But the fibers kept breaking, and then when it did, it was almost like a bungee cord. It got really boingy, and it was obnoxious to try to stitch with. And because that gold goes around all of those borders, I wasn't going to fight it for that big of a project. So maybe something smaller. I'll try to use it again, but not on that. So my next one is my other project from Cross Stitch Safari, and this one is the leopard. It's called Queen of Cats by Jane Netley Mango. And this one I started for Stitch Mania of that year also. I have worked on it just a little bit since you've seen it last time. So so I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time here. And here's where I'm at currently. So I'm in the very confetti heavy grasses in that corner. And my fabric is from Fabric Flare, and it is a um, 16 count Fabric Flare called African Sunrise. And I tried to center it so the head of the leopard will be kind of right up here. So I think it's going to be cool on that. I can't wait till I'm out of the grasses and more into the cat, because then I think it will go a lot faster. There's a ton of color changes in the grass. My next one is called Trick or Treat by Pascal Mogru. It's from Lena Lawson Needle Arts. And this is my second project for WIP Go of January, my January WIP Go project. So This one and my Chalk Art Winter are the two that I will be working on, trying to get as close to a finish as possible. This one is not very big. He's only 82 by 135, but there's a lot of different colors in here and tons of back stitching, and so he's a deceptively small one that you think, well, that won't take long. It takes long. So this is one I haven't worked on this year so far. And there's where I'll be starting from. Just his pants. This is another Fabric of the Month limited edition piece from Crafty Kitten Fabrics. It is from September of 2016. All right, and that is all of my 2020 WIPs. So now we will go through the WIPs that I have started this year. So there won't be any before pictures because I started them this year. My first one that I've started is from this magazine, Winter 2014, and the Stony Creek. And it is the Back Again Someday Snowman. I just think he's so sweet. And this is where I'm at. Just his scarf. This one is 28 count Summer Clouds. It feels like a Monaco. It's pretty thick, even weave, and it's from Stony Creek. The next one I started was called Bird Watching. And it's from Cross Stitch Collection, issue 158. And here's where I got to. It's the head of the bird and a little bit of the background. And I wanted to try to pick a fabric that was pretty close to the called for, because since it's supposed to look like a kind of a canvas, and the design kind of works into the background, I try to keep it as close as possible. And this fabric is a 28 count Vanilla Cream Lugana by Color and Cotton. And I'm using the called for anchor floss for this. It's an anchor exclusive chart. So I'm excited to get back to this one, because that bird, and it's going to be a really fun stitch, I think. That bird is so pretty. My next one that I started, I don't have a printout for it. It is called Daydream Tigers by Sheena Pike, and it's by Charting Creations. So I'll insert a picture of what it will look like finished here. And mine is the large size version, and this is where I'm at. So I'm stitching this one on a 28 count. I think this is Easy Guide or Easy Grid. It's the one that's the 10 by 10 blocks. So this one is giant. It's almost as big as, it's almost as big as a supersize Heaven and Earth. It's just a little bit smaller than that size. So it's giant. So currently my starting spot for this year, I have stitched 3,201 stitches, which only puts me at 0.60%. So this baby's got a long way to go, but it is going to be gorgeous. It kind of reminds me, you know, from back when I was teenage years. This will date me, but kind of Lisa Frank, if you guys remember her artwork. It was all the rage. I remember when I was like in middle school, you could get all the folders for school supplies and stuff like that with the Lisa Frank. I always loved her stuff, and that's what this kind of reminded me of. So plus tigers are one of my favorite animals, which if you can't tell, I've got to stitch all the tigers. So and all the big cats, got to stitch them all. My next one is I'll have to insert a cover photo because I don't know where I stuck my box that has my pattern and my floss in it. I know it's around here somewhere, but where I stuck it, I don't know. But this is a exclusive chart by Plum Street Samplers, and we got it in the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat, the spring retreat. So I'll insert a picture of what it will look like finished here. And this is called Live on Little by Plum Street. And that is all the further I've gotten, just on the border. And this fabric is gorgeous, and I love stitching on it. It's a 36 count hog bristle from Fox and Rabbit. And this was the called for fabric that came in the kit. So beautiful piece. It'll be, I love stitching on it. Want to get back to it. Of course, we say that when we go through our WIP parades, we want to get back to everything and stitch on all the things, right? Okay, almost finished. I think the next three, I only have 3 left, and they're all brand new projects that you've never seen before. So, the first one that I started was my Hocus Pocus trilogy, Muriel, because I needed one more kind of small non-full, basically I needed one more non-full coverage piece to put on my WIP go board. So looking at the sizes that categories that I had for my no new starts, I wanted another small. So I started Muriel, and I worked on her basically just enough to be able to put her on my list. You had to have 200 stitches to count it as a WIP. So that's where I got to. And I'm just stitching it on the perforated paper. And she is the last witch that I have to stitch for completing that series. I've stitched the other 2. So that is Muriel. And I just started her. Like I said, that's one of the ones I started in the last couple of weeks. So my next one I started is another Heaven and Earth stocking. And this is the one that I started for my son, Austin. It is called Kitten Christmas 2, and it's also a Donna Gelsinger chart from Heaven and Earth Design. So I will insert a picture of what it will look like finished here. And I only worked on this one night, and that's where I got to. And believe it or not, that's 2 different colors. And it was just a tad under 500 stitches. It was like 492 stitches. But I wanted to just get it started, because what I plan on doing is I'll work on Alicia's stocking and get about a full page finished, and then I'll work on Austin's stocking, get that for like a page finish. That way I get them done about the same time, so I don't have just one completely finished and the other kid waiting for one. So that's where I'm at on his. And that's a brand new start. So My last brand new start was one that I almost forgot that I needed to get started. And it would have really bummed me out because I was looking, basically what reminded me is I was looking through some of the albums on the No New Starts just to see what everybody else had and their plans. And there were a couple people that had this one in there. And it reminded me that, oh my gosh, I need to get it started because our 25th wedding anniversary is on Valentine's Day. And I had wanted to stitch Stitchin' Mommy, Sarah the Stitchin' Mommy's temperature tree to commemorate the year of our 25th anniversary. So I don't have the printed out picture of what it will look like finished. So I'll insert a picture of the temperature tree here. So basically what I did is I went ahead and got started on the trunk, I started in the middle and I'm working my way down. So right here will be, on this side will be the branch for January. So I was just working on the tree trunk to get my 200 stitches in, and I think I'm close to like 400 or something, and try to work my way down to get that branch done for January so I can start once the year changes. So this is being stitched on 40 count River Rock from Color and Cotton, and the floss I'm using for the tree trunk is called Black Walnut, which is a tree. And so I thought that was appropriate. So that is my full WIP list that I have started, and those are the projects I'll be working on in 2022. Hopefully I'll get some of those finished, so maybe 2023 will be the year of starts or something, if I get a lot done. So really quickly, for my categories for Work Your WIPs, I have 8 that are considered BAPs, which, if you don't know what a BAP stands for, the acronym, if you don't like profanity, close your ears for just a second, because a BAP stands for a big ass project. If you would like a more PG version of what a BAP could stand for, you could call it a big awesome project. So whichever you prefer. Some days it might be the BAP, and some days it might be pretty awesome. Just depends if the frog visits or not, maybe. So I have 8 that are considered BAPs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. I have 13 that are considered large size. I have 11 that are considered medium, and then I have 4 that are smalls. So it's kind of the breakdown. So if you lasted through my WIP parade, I am going to do a giveaway for my subscribers. So on my last video, I had mentioned that I had just hit over 1,000 subscribers, which that is just amazing to me. So I can't thank all of you enough that take the time to watch my videos and come back and subscribe. It means a lot to me. You know, when you start this channel, you're always wondering if anybody will like your content or your projects. So you put yourself out there, and it's just fun to kind of watch the numbers grow, and just see that you've inspired some people with the projects that you're stitching. So I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. So I am going to do a giveaway for my reaching that milestone. So what I've decided to do is I have a few different giveaways planned. So the first prize, or my first giveaway, before we get started, Rules apply. Don't mention giveaway, don't mention free in your comments, because I don't want the trolls who just go around looking for stuff to win the prizes. I want it to go to stitchers who subscribe to my channel and want to stitch and use the items that I'm giving away. So I'll have a few different prizes, and to be entered, you must be a subscriber, you like my video, and leave a comment. And then on my next video, I will draw the winners, and I will ship any prizes anywhere that need to be mailed. It may take a while to get to you, but I would like my overseas subscribers to be eligible as well. So the first prize that I'm going to give away is going to be a pattern of Edna Goes to Brunch by Lindy Stitches. And this is mine, but the one that I will give you will be brand new, and I will also buy you the fancy floss for the project. So it will come with the fancy floss, and it will be a brand new pattern. The reason why I'm going to give this one as prize number 1 is because I took the photo. If you're new here, I took the photo that Lindy used to create the pattern. So Edna is super cute, and she has a special place in my heart because she was a sweet little bird that came to our bird feeder every day that summer. So so if you want to win Edna, this will be number 1. And I will have a question that you need to answer. So what I'm curious about is, I'm always curious of how many WIPs people have. Well, we can't do that because I don't want you to put numbers. Let's do a different question. How about you tell me in your comments, maybe what is one goal, stitching goal, that you would like to do or meet in 2022. If you don't really set goals for yourself, or maybe your goal is just to stitch as much as possible. So just say what your goal would be. And then after you tell me what your stitching goal, just one is all you need to include in your comment, then just put number 1 for Edna if you want to be eligible to win her. And you can enter for as many prizes as you want, but if your name is picked, you're only gonna win 1. So Edna will be number 1. Number 2, I have 2 opportunities to win this one. So I wanted to share one of my favorite stitching tools to have in your Stitchy toolbox. So it is a floss reel, and my friend Sherry makes these, and this is her Etsy store called Creative Keep Studio. And these are awesome if you like to put your thread on thread drops. And speaking of thread drops, I'll include a set of Sherry's thread drops for you as well. They're nice, thick, nice and thick, and place where you write on the back what your thread is, and they're pretty. So this floss reel that you can win is her 13-inch size. And what you do is you take your thread and you put the end here and you just wind it around. And then you can cut just one end after it's wound up, and that will create it'll create 24-inch lengths of floss. Or if you cut it at both ends, it will create 12-inch lengths. So 12 and 24 is kind of a good size, I think. It's her middle of the road one. So I'm gonna give 2 of these away. So this will be number 2 if you're interested in winning the floss wheel with some floss drops, and I'll probably include some thread too. But 2 people will win a set of floss drops with floss reel. And if you visit Sherry's Etsy store, she does have 2 other sizes that she carries. One is a 10-inch size, which will make either 9 or 18 length floss lengths of thread, depending on if you cut it at one end or both. Her other one that she carries is a 13-inch long, so a little bit longer than this one. And that one will make 17 or 34-inch lengths. So check out her Etsy store. And if you want to win a floss reel with floss drops, make sure to put number 2 in your comment. Prize number 3 is going to be this issue of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. It's a hard copy, and this thing is a book. It is the 2021 Christmas winter issue. And the reason why I'm giving a copy of this away is because of this piece right on the cover by Teresa Koukiotis. I've got to meet Teresa a few times. She comes to the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat. Very sweet. She's going to be she's going to be the designer in the spring one. But I was looking through this magazine, and look at this little snowman hanging from the star with his little tiny feet and boots swinging. I thought that was the absolute cutest thing ever. So he is so adorable that I wanted to share him with someone. So you will get your own brand new copy of this magazine. And it's got tons and tons of projects, punch needle and stitching. Lots of good stuff in here. So if you're interested in winning this, put number 3. And then the last prize that I have is going to be, I'm going to give 2 away as well. And it's going to be a full coverage chart. So because I love stitching full coverage, I'm sure that many of my followers maybe like full coverage or want to try it. So what I am going to do is I'll do a PDF rack, which is a random act of kindness. And I will let you choose a chart of your choice from a company, and then I will rack it to you. So there's some different companies that you can choose from. So you can choose Heaven and Earth Design. And if you decide to choose a Heaven and Earth, I will rack you either one chart that is a regular or supersize or a stocking. Or if you want a mini or a quick stitch chart from them, I will give 2. I will do 2 charts that you choose. So either one regular size or 2 of the mini or quick stitches. Hang on one second, I got a cough and I'll cut it out. All right, sorry about that. So again, I'm going to choose 2 winners to win a full coverage pattern. So if you're one of the winners, if you choose to pick one from Heaven and Earth, you can have one regular or the super size or stocking, or you can get 2 minis or 2 quick stitches, or a mini and a quick stitch, whatever you want to choose. If you decide to choose your chart from Charting Creations, I will rack 1 chart from them because their charts are all the same price. I was trying to keep it with like the package, the prize was roughly around the same amount of money. The other company you could choose from is Cross Stitch Studio, and from them I will send 1 chart if you want to choose your chart from them. I think with them I have to send you a gift certificate number that you just pick your chart and buy yourself. So and then you can choose one from Pain Free Crafts, which is just 1 chart. Or you can do Artisy. And with Artisy, I will buy a gift certificate, and then you can just choose the chart you want. So I'll buy a $20 gift certificate. So I think some of their charts are about $10, so you might be able to get 2, depending on where you're at. So, so for those, I will pick 2 people to win a full coverage package. And if you're one of the full coverage winners, you can choose which full coverage company you would like your chart from. And then depending on the company you choose, you can get 1 or maybe 2 charts from them depending on the cost. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, that will be number 4. So if you're interested in winning a full coverage or in for the full coverage, put number 4. So again, 1 was Edna, 2 was a floss reel with a floss drop, 3 is the magazine, and 4 will be the full coverage designs. And that's all I have for you today. So I will, going forward, I plan on doing a monthly recap for my stitching updates. So I will leave this giveaway open until my next video, which will be at the end of January. So let's say January, you have to have your comment by basically by the time I do my next video. So I will draw the winners right before I do my update for January. And we'll see who the winners are. So my plan going forward, like I said, is to do monthly recaps of videos, or to do a monthly recap next year, hopefully, and at least for now. So that'll let me have some good progress on my WIPs. It'll see how I do for my WIP go pieces, and get some good stitching progress in. So that's all I have for you. So I am enjoying everybody else's WIP parades and seeing what everybody else is planning for 2022. This is one of my favorite times of year for Flosstube, because I like to see what everybody else is stitching, and you always see stuff to add to your wish list, or your must stitches. So it's just a lot of fun. So another thing that I plan on trying to do next year is doing more shout outs, and because I really appreciate when people give me shout outs on their channel, and I really appreciated it when I was getting close to my 1,000 subscribers for the shout outs for the channels that had under 1,000, people that were newer, just to get their name out and kind of help them out with their subscribers as well. So I plan on trying to remember to do that more often next year too. So I think that's it. So I hope everybody has a very safe New Year's Eve if you're planning on going out. I have to work early in the morning, so we are staying home. And plus we're having nasty weather here in central Iowa. We had ice today while I was at work. We had accidents after accidents because we had basically a misty, freezing rain that froze really quickly. And so that's starting our night out. And then tomorrow we're in a winter storm warning where we're kind of in the swatch to possibly get 4 to 9 inches of snow tomorrow on top of our ice. And then the wind's going to come and blow it all around and make it even slicker than it is currently. So not a good day for travel. But I have to travel to work, so that'll be fun. But if you go out, please stay safe, get designated drivers if needed, and stay healthy, and get lots of stitching in. So we will see you at the end of January. Take care all, and happy stitching.